Well, here we go. They announced it on TalkSport. We're just going to have a listen. They've got, I think it's some Sunderland fan or some media expert Sunderland fan coming on.
We'll be talking a bit of Sunderland as the manager loses his job, and we'll also be talking cricket. Mark Ramprakash, former England batsman, gives us his take on that third Test defeat in Rajkot. But first, Ben Fletcher has the sports headlines.
Good afternoon. We await confirmation that Sunderland have parted company with Michael Beale after just 12 games in charge. The Black Cats boss appeared to ignore Trey Hume when subbed off during the defeat to Birmingham and later was forced to apologise. TalkSport's chief football correspondent Alex Crook says that may have been the straw that broke the camel's back.
I'm not sure Sunderland fans ever really bought into this appointment. They're only 4 points off the playoffs. I looked at Michael Beale's record. I think it's 4 wins from 12 games in charge, so it isn't dreadful, but they didn't want him in the first place.
The man who Michael Beale replaced, Tony Mowbray, is to take a step back from management for 6 to 8 weeks for medical treatment. The Birmingham boss has been in the job for little over a month. Assistant Mark Venus will take charge for now. TalkSport understands Dan Ashworth has been placed on gardening leave after telling Newcastle he wants out. We're told Manchester United will need to spend in excess of £10 million if they're to secure his services. National League Barnet are heading home after a 10-year exile.
Couldn't make it up, could you?
Have been submitted for a new 6,000 to 8,000 capacity stadium in South Underhill. And Brendan McCullum has told TalkSport Ben Stokes will only bowl for England if he feels ready to.
I get well, Tony Mowbray, lad.
He wouldn't do anything which he doesn't think is right to do. So if he does decide to bowl, then you get a pretty good idea that his knee feels good.
England go into the 4th Test trailing India 2-1. You can hear live and exclusive ball-by-ball commentary on the whole series over on TalkSport 2.
TalkSport News.
Alexei Navalny's widow claims Russian authorities poisoned her husband.
And on your smart speaker, Paul Hawksby and Andy Jacobs on TalkSport.
Bazball after that very heavy defeat, and he's got a slightly different attitude towards it. We'll come on to that later when we speak the Rams, but before all of that, we've had a bit of breaking news in the show today that Michael Beale, after an incredibly short time in charge of Sunderland, has gone. Didn't seem to endear himself to the fan base. Let's chat to one of them now. The Atletico Mints, top flight time machine podcaster and journalist and Sunderland fan. It is Andy Dawson. Good afternoon, Andy.
Good afternoon, fellas.
I mean, look, I know that you don't seem too bothered by the fact he's gone, but are you surprised they've made a call this quickly?
Nope.
I kind of am a little bit. I thought they would have been stubborn enough to hold on to him for another month or two, but it's absolutely the right decision because he should never have got the job in the first place. We completely went down the wrong road by appointing him. All of the signs were there, all the feedback from the clubs he'd been at before, QPR and Rangers fans all said that he was they felt as if he was someone who talked his way into the job, but then was horribly above his skill level once he got in the job, and it was an underwhelming appointment as far as our fans were concerned. The big problem was that they've sacked Tony Mowbray, who was an incredibly popular manager, not with everybody but with the majority of the fans, and whose biggest crime I think was to overachieve last season and get us into the playoffs, and then to let him go after what seemed to be differences of opinion, let's say, between the ownership and Tony. It didn't make a massive amount of sense to let him go, and then to bring in Michael Beale. They didn't have a replacement ready. They scouted around and they taught one or two coaches from abroad, Will still being one of them, and then Michael Beale got the job kind of because he was available and you just see him keen and cheap.
I mean, I sometimes think some of these managers that they're good at PowerPoint.
Yeah, good interview.
They go in there and they've got all the whooshing sounds and there's stuff spinning in and out. Okay, where will we be in 5 years' time? Oh, blimey, that was impressive. And you're sitting there with you've got another manager. You think, well, he's been around a long time, very experienced, but his PowerPoint was very poor. I just think there's some managers over there, they just interviewed well.
Yeah, it could be a cliche that maybe, but there's some truth in it because the ownership of the club at the minute, some of the things they come out with in their official correspondence correspondence and the lines they say. They've got what they describe as an obsession with progression, and they keep going on about high performance culture, and that's the kind of thing you get from contestants on The Apprentice. That's the kind of level you get, and it's not what you really want from someone who's going to try and coach your football team up into the Premier League.
Yeah. It's always a tempting job, though, isn't it? It's a great stadium. It's a sleeping giant. They've been a Premier League team, so there's going to be no shortage of people who want the job.
That shows the right one.
But then again, one of the problems we've got is that I don't think there's any desire to invest properly in the club from the ownership.
Now you're talking sense.
If there was, we would have seen improvements off the pitch. Because, of course, there's stuff like FFP, and you can only spend so much.
I don't think KLD's got the money, mate.
Each season, and that's fair enough. We don't want to see clubs splurge lots of money and then having to go bust or get points deducted. But the stadium is starting to look a bit dilapidated after 25 years. The off-the-pitch stuff like the ticket office, the club shop, need a hell of a lot of work, and there's been no investment in any of that. They keep making promises that they will, but there's no investment in any of that. And I just think they're just trying to do everything they can for as little outlay as possible, and you can't keep getting away with that.
It's surprising in a way, because the owner's not short of a few bob, is he? The family.
Allegedly, yeah. There was talk that his fortune was being held in trust. So whether he's got access to a lot of the money, I'm not sure. There's also been rumours that he's using Sunderland as a kind of a training exercise for him then to go and take over Marseille, where his dad was the owner.
Hello, you okay?
25 years ago or so. So maybe that's true.
Oh.
I don't know. Because it's hard to trust them, because a lot of the things they say and do don't seem to be for the benefit of the club.
I mean, from what you've just said, it looks like they're going to give it to Jake Humphrey to the end of the season. But if they make a good appointment, and like from what you're saying, Andy, you don't completely trust them to do that, you know, you're not far off the playoffs. There's always a team that puts a look. You haven't got to put that many results together. You've got some decent players. I mean, it's going to have to be a good appointment, isn't it?
Well, it will be. It looks as if, from what I've just read a couple of minutes ago, that it's going to be the first team coach, Mike Dodds, until the end of the season. And he had a 2-game caretaker spell in between Mowbray and Beale. And he's well liked among the players. He won the 2 games that he had in charge back in December, I think it was. So nobody's going to really complain about that short term. And then I think they'll look at it in the summer and see who's available. There's talk again of Will still be available for a significantly lower compensation figure in the summer, which would tie in with the methodology that we're deploying at the minute at the club of trying to do it as cheap as possible.
Do you think that's a missed opportunity then? I mean, somebody could come in and make a big difference. You know, you could end up being, you know, like on a fair wind, a Premier League team next year. If there's a feeling that you just there's that sort of bit slightly waving the white flag saying, well, we'll worry about it next season.
I don't think they want to be promoted, to be honest. I don't think they wanted to be promoted last season. They would have been happy to have finished, like, say, 12th. As I say, Mowbray overachieved. And we got into the playoffs. We almost got promoted by mistake last season. And this season's a much tougher league than last year was. So
yeah, but you get a lot of money if you come out. I can't believe they wouldn't want to be in the Premier League even for one season.
You'd think that, wouldn't you? But it's a topsy-turvy world at Sunderland at the minute, Andy.
Yeah, really.
Have you called the new Sunderland Till I Dies yet, Andy?
Yeah, sat down and binged it in one go last week when it dropped, as they say. Yeah, it was good to see us winning at Wembley on there with Alex Neil, who possibly shouldn't have been allowed to go. With hindsight, could bring him back, couldn't we?
Yeah. Well, Andy, good to talk to you. Have you got another sort of mints on the go soon? Another podcast, you and Bob?
We're on a little hiatus at the minute, but we should be back soon. But I'm doing Top Flight Time Machine with Sam Delaney.
Excellent.
And we're covering things such as the Roy of the Rovers comics from 1985 and the History of Pigs we're doing this week as well.
History of Pigs?
Yeah. It started as a football podcast and it's kind of drifted. You know how it is.
Cheers, Andy. All the best. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Andy Dawson there, Sunderland fan, podcaster, journalist. Yeah, thanks to him. We did ask you if you wanted to drop us a WhatsApp voice note. Yeah, we have.
Oh, I'm excited.
It's come from Sunderland fan Aaron. He has dropped us a WhatsApp voice note on 03717 223344 on Michael Beale's departure. This is what he had to say.
Alright lads, my name's Aaron. I'm a Sunderland supporter. My thoughts on Michael Beale getting sacked is a correct choice. He just didn't have the trust of the players. The fans didn't back his appointment straight away. And after the results at the weekend against Birmingham and Huddersfield, it's just you can tell that things need to change. But for me, the next manager, Sunderland, I see Dodgy getting to the end of the season. And then we might go out for Will Still or still Steve Cooper.
Yeah, thank you, man. Let's start a WhatsApp group. Come on. What, when all this is going to start, when you're on your own, you'd be lethal in a WhatsApp group, Andy. They don't want to be on there with you. I've been on a WhatsApp group with you. It's not a pretty place. Chris, the Sunderland fan, also weighed in. Let's hear from him.
Hi guys, my name's Chris from South Shields. I'm a big Sunderland fan. It was fairly obvious from the start that Beale wasn't the right fit for the club. It's good that our owners have actually acknowledged that straight away. All I can say is after his behaviour on Saturday towards Trey Hume, if he is taking training and he can't see Hume from that distance, then no wonder our strikers haven't been scoring. Hopefully we will get someone half decent now to try and push us on to the playoffs.
Thank you very much for that one, Chris. I mean, if
Which sentence is it, Pat? Is it?
The other one.
Then maybe he'll get a tune out of him and have a decent end of the season. Yeah, maybe players off.
Right, okay.
I guess. So he did a good job as a caretaker. So we'll see. We shall see. Thank you very much for those. You keep coming. 03717.